Unsung Murder Ballads is a true crime podcast, and as such, we will be discussing topics that are disturbing, graphic, and often violent in nature. So this is not for children under the age of 13.
But you know this because you did start playing this episode. So here are some things you might not know about us.
We are going to be critical of mistakes made by both criminals and law enforcement.
We're going to express our views on things that you might not always agree with.
We will occasionally go on an off-topic tangent.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So if you're easily triggered, this might not be the podcast for you.
However, if this is your cup of tea, then raise your pinky finger while you sip and join us for this week's horrific case, you sick bastards.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 165. I am Janus Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
All right, it's time for another fucked up case. You ready?
Okay, well, great start. All right, let's jump on in.
This one's really odd. The first time I heard about this, I actually thought I gotta back up. The first time I heard about this case, it was because I watched a video of the event itself. I can't even talk. A beginning of the first event itself. And I honestly thought I watched a scene from a movie. That's how fucked up it is. I was
cool. We love these truth is stranger than fiction cases.
I'm not kidding. Like, I literally watched where we'll get into it fairly quickly. But when I watched the events of this case, I was like, there's no way that's real. Like, that's a movie. I seriously thought it was like found footage, or they were doing like the parody of Cops, like the Reno 911 show. I seriously thought that's what I was watching. And then I found out it was real.
Jesus. Okay.
And
cool.
I did, but
I'm excited now.
Well, the funny part was I didn't dig any deeper. I was like, okay, that's real. All right. That was weird. And then later it showed up in my feed again. And I found out that there was shit that happened after the events of what I thought. You'll see. But I couldn't believe it. And I was like, we're doing this case ASAP.
All right. Wild case by algorithm. Thank you, algorithm.
Right. Okay. On March 17th, 2008, police officers Tracy Cope and Paul Finlayson were called to the M6 motorway near Stoke-on-Trent after reports from a pedestrian that had been hit by a vehicle.
Stoke-on-Trent? Are we in the UK?
We are in the UK. And I was going to say this is sort of in between Liverpool and London, I believe. Somewhere in that general area.
That kind of name... It's giving British.
Well, I knew when I said it, I was like, you're going to know exactly UK. Like, I can't think of another country that does that. So.
And you know what? That specific place name sounds like a parody of a British place name, which fits the case perfectly.
Exactly. And that's why.
It was Stoke-on-Trent. Like, what?
Exactly. And that's why I'm
where?
We just
Who's
wait.
Who's on what?
Yeah, exactly. Who's on first?
Yeah, exactly.
So expecting the worst, these two police officers, they were dispatched, and when they arrived, they were kind of surprised to see that there was just a car sitting on the side of the road, a transit authority officer sitting there as well, and two pedestrian women just standing there calmly talking. No one seemed injured. They were just standing on the shoulder of the motorway. So when the police officers get out, they're sitting there talking to the transit officer, and the two middle-aged women are standing nearby when suddenly one of them runs out into the traffic as vehicles are going by.
Oh, Lord.
Just darts right out in front of them. And amazingly, it's all caught on camera because these police officers that responded to the call were actually filming with a film crew when they got this call.
Well, like as a part of a show or something?
As part of like the UK version of Cops, yes.
Which is a weird thing that exists, first of all, that we're making a reality show out of something as private as, like, policing is weird.
But people really want to know about what that life is like, especially when you get the chases and the arrests and, you know what I mean? Like
it's true. You know, I'm not surprised that there's a market for it. I'm just surprised that it's, like, legal.
Right.
If
And
it makes sense.
I think now they have to censor a whole lot more than they did back in the day when it first started. But
Yeah.
but who knows? So this is the case of the Eriksson twins, which is also known as Folie. And I'm assuming
All
you know what
right.
that phrase means, right?
I don't know what Folie means, but deux is two in French, so.
Right. So it's like the folly of two.
Okay, okay.
Right. So not a lot is known about the lives of twin sisters Sabina and Ursula Eriksson. They were born in Värmland County in West Central Sweden on Friday, November 13th, 1967. Now these two had two older siblings, a brother and a sister, and while they were at school, the twins were described by some as a little bit odd. They
A little bit what?
odd. They mostly kept to themselves, but they sometimes had a tendency to be a bit violent.
Oh, okay.
Now, there is no evidence that Sabina or Ursula were ever treated for any mental health illnesses.
Well, 1967, I'm not surprised.
That's
Does
true.
not mean the absence of them.
True. Now, following that, after school and into their early adulthood, everything becomes quite the mystery. There's not a lot of information about them. But by the year 2000, both of these women were in their 30s and they had left Sweden. Ursula had relocated to the United States, while Sabina was living in Ireland with her partner and two children. It is believed that somewhere between the year 2000 and 2008, Sabina may have spent time in the U.S. visiting her twin sister. Now her son even moved in with Ursula for a period of time, although there's no information as to why or what was going on. At least not that we know. And that's what makes this case even crazier, is how little information there is about these two women.
I'm very interested on what this USA angle is. How is this getting involved in our weird UK events?
Just that one of them was living there.
Oh, okay.
Trust me, there's nothing to tie this problem back to the US that we're aware of.
Wow, for once.
For once. In 2008, it was Ursula's turn to travel. Now the women are in their 40s, and Ursula flew to Ireland to stay with her twin sister. Again, it is not known whether this was just a catch-up visit or if there was a specific reason behind the two of them coming together at this point. But what we do know is that during Ursula's time in Ireland, the twins were absolutely inseparable. They had an extremely tight bond. And then suddenly, at 2 a.m. on Friday, May 16th, Sabina and Ursula left Ireland without telling anyone what their plans were or what their intentions were.
These girls are crazy.
And they're in their 40s at this point.
Right, and they still have one kid there.
At least, because I think Sabina had two kids with her partner in Ireland.
Mm-hmm. And one of them's in the US.
You're right.
By themselves if they were living with, yeah.
Right. But who knows how old these kids are at this point? They could easily be young adults.
This is very fair. I'm making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, and that's the problem with this whole case, is a lot of this
You
stuff
said we just don't know, yeah.
So the next time we see the twins, they're seen at 8:40 a.m. the following day, which was May 17th, in Liverpool, England. It's believed they traveled from Ireland to England via ferry. They walked into a place called the St. Anne Street Police Station near Liverpool city centre, and Sabina told officers that she was concerned about the safety of her children. Liverpool police contacted their Irish counterparts, who then performed a wellness check on Sabina's children and partner. And everything was okay. Like, nothing's wrong. Like, when I first started digging, I thought, oh, fuck, they're dead. Right?
Yeah. But I'm glad they're fine.
Yeah, they're fine, so we're good. Sabina's partner told the Irish police that Sabina had just taken off, and he did say that they had had a fight. Now, Irish police said that Sabina and Ursula could get in touch with them if they actually had any concerns about the safety of their family or if they just needed to return to Ireland. Sometime after leaving that police station in Liverpool, the twins got on a National Express coach, which was bound for London, and they boarded it.
Is that the taxi?
It is a bus, yeah.
Okay. It's a bus.
So it's a bus, and they're heading to London. Now, the twins each carried a bag with them that they refused to hand over to be put in the coach's luggage area. So instead, they both sat in their seat holding their respective bags throughout this journey. Just after 1 p.m., this bus, stopped off at a Kiel station, which I had to do quite a bit of research for. It's really just a service station or like a rest stop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they call them Kiel stations, especially because when you type in...
K-E-E-L?
Yeah, with an E at the end. K-E-E-L-E. And then when I typed in Kiel station, the first thing I got was some spot in Toronto. It's really weird. So like
that is bizarre.
So it's apparently like a rest stop / service area. And it's on this particular one is on the M6. Now, the reason why the bus stopped there is unclear because it was not a scheduled rest stop for them. Now, there are some reports that state the stop was made because of a driver change. But in other reports, they say that it was stopped because of the way Sabina and Ursula were acting. They were behaving erratically.
Oh, jeez.
So the twins disembarked and they had a discussion with the bus driver. And he basically wanted them to store their luggage under the bus in the storage compartment. But they were refusing.
This is so weird.
They were refusing. And this made him suspicious.
What the hell are they doing that's what he has to intervene? He's like, girls, you better if you don't put your bags under this bus right now.
Right. And that's exactly what's happening. And he would not only would he not let them back on, but they wouldn't let him search the bags because he's getting suspicious about what's in the bag.
What's in the bag?
Well, we're just going to keep going. So,
sorry. I was trying to paraphrase. What's in the box?
Oh, sorry. I totally missed it. I think it's
I didn't really say it with the right intonation.
I was going to say it's the way he says it. He's like, "What's in the box?" Yeah, I hear.
What's in the box?
I hear what you're saying.
Bag?
He's so upset. Yeah. Oh my God, I missed that, and I apologize to everyone that I missed a Seven reference.
How dare you?
It was one of the best.
You showed
movies.
me that movie.
It was one of the best movies ever. Oh my God.
So good.
So now the driver told the service station's employee, a woman named Melissa, that he wasn't going to let the twins back on. And he essentially handed this issue over to this woman named Melissa, asking her to keep an eye on them after he left.
What the fuck's wrong with you, dude?
Well, he's got a schedule to keep.
Yeah, true.
That I can sort of understand. But I would hate to have been this woman. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're going to give me these two crazy bitches? What are you doing?
Right, and their fucking bags?
Yeah, which could have anything in them. Yeah.
Right? What's up with these bag bitches?
Now, Melissa watched the twins as they walked around the service station. They were holding their bags tightly against their chest as though they were terrified of letting them go.
These girls, they seem drunk. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Well, the way they moved and spoke to one another made it seem like they were plotting something.
Ugh.
Melissa grew suspicious as the twins wandered as if, they just wandered about. And she kept wondering if they were actually carrying a bomb or some kind of explosive device in their bags.
That is kind of what I was starting to think, yeah.
So Melissa calls the police. Now, soon after, officers arrive at the scene and they speak to the twins, but they found nothing suspicious about them. They literally told Melissa that there were no issues and that the two women were just trying to get to London.
Okay.
Now, it is unclear if they showed this police officer what was in their bag. There's zero information.
I'm assuming it's something untoward.
That would be the assumption, but we don't know if they actually showed it to the police officer or if he's just taking these women at their word. Because there are those asshole guys who think women are never a threat.
True.
And we've seen, I hate to say this, we've seen UK police not take women seriously at all.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in every goddamn country.
Right, but specifically I'm thinking about the woman who was being stalked for months and months and months and the police did nothing.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that case was awful.
Yeah. So the police gave the twins a phone number for the coach company so that they could arrange to catch the next bus. Now,
Okay. As if they got kicked off the one bus, they're gonna let on this other one.
it's fucking
Poor
weird.
sucker.
I just realized this is our second bus episode.
Wow.
And it's
I'm
been
surprised.
a long time since the first one, which is funny.
But you go on one of these buses and you feel like something bad's gonna happen.
Right. I don't know if I'll ever take
Maybe that's
another
just
bus
me.
trip again. Although,
That's fair. I take it a lot from to like New York City. That's the cheapest way.
that's fair. I
And I
haven't.
don't believe in driving. I'm too gay. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. To be well, you live in Boston, so
Yeah,
uh,
I'm too scared to drive to like the suburbs. I'm a baby.
the last time I took a bus, it was to Albany, New York, or Rochester, New York, from here. So similar, a little longer, I think. But
And it just feels a little cursed. I don't know.
right. So Sabrina and Ursula agreed to this officer's plan that they would call the number and wait for the next bus. But they left pretty much right before the next bus arrived. They just started walking.
Oh, okay.
They're literally walking down the M6 motorway, which I'm assuming has to be like a really busy, almost like toll road highway kind of thing.
That is what it sounds like.
Right. I mean, granted, it might be nothing. It's titled the M6, which makes it feel like it's really important,
Mm-hmm.
But now the M6 is covered by video cameras that monitor everything. And
Wow.
it's all visible from their control center in Birmingham. Now, at about,
Wow. Small country, like high population density, you can really put a lot more cameras there.
yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's funny because Tori and I were talking about something like this when we were redoing the Frog Boys of Korea case. And she was we were talking about the number of people that were out searching for the boys. And I had to remind her that South Korea was roughly the size of like Pennsylvania. Maybe a
Mm-hmm.
little bigger. And it kind of helps put in perspective that many people was a lot more than you realize when you're in such a small area. And
Yeah.
the UK
Yeah.
is kind of the same way. It's not that big. I think UK is about the size of all of New England.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Yeah. So anyway, at about 3:20 p.m., the twins were captured on cameras walking along the motorway's central reservation. Although there is a low metal barrier on either side of the central reservation, this is that center walkway kind of thing, divider. It's obviously not safe to be walking there. It's not designed to
No,
have pedestrians there.
not at all.
So a highway patrol agent was dispatched to move the twins off the motorway. But keep in mind that
Lot of resources being dispatched for these ladies
these two 40-year-old women just walking around, just
doing a bunch of weird shit and getting the cops called on them.
Now, keep in mind the highway agency officers are not police officers. Their role is
Gotcha.
to just handle issues on the motorway. They're basically like traffic officers, but they can't really ticket you.
Okay,
It's
all
weird.
right.
It's weird.
Just like public servants, just like keeping an eye on shit.
Basically, yeah. If there's an accident, these officers would kind of sort out traffic movement plans, put up roadblocks, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't shoot you because they probably don't carry guns. So that's nice.
Very true. And I'm pretty sure they don't have the right to pull you over or issue fines. So
Okay,
there's
very
that.
chill.
Right. So when the twins saw the highway agency car, they jumped out of the central reservation and onto the motorway in front of oncoming traffic. So cars started braking hard, and they were swerving to avoid running them over.
Yeah.
But despite everybody's swift responses, one driver accidentally clipped Sabina, and she was knocked over. So
That's her fault.
it definitely 110% her fault.
You know what? I no longer think they're drunk. I think they're like tripping. I think they're like on a psychedelic. That's my new theory.
Okay. Well, although onlookers feared that Sabina might have serious injuries, she seemed perfectly fine. She was able to get up, and she and Ursula made their way onto the shoulder of the M6. Now, police and paramedics were immediately summoned to the scene. It's at this point that officers Tracy Cope and Finlayson responded to the call. And it was, as I said, just so happened that they had a camera crew with them.
Mm-hmm.
So these two cops were being followed that day by a small crew from the BBC television program called Motorway Cops, and they were filming these two officers as they went about their shift.
Yeah, let's watch cops give tickets.
I
What a
don't,
great television program.
you say this, but I mean, this is part of my research, but I find myself watching a lot of camera footage from cops, like while they're the ones that are on their chest. The body cam footage.
Yep.
And I
I can't fully shit on it. I watch a lot of reality TV that's way less interesting than that.
Fair. I'm blown away by what some people will try to do and say when they're stopped by cops. So,
Yeah, truly, it actually has a little bit more reality to it, which makes it interesting.
Yeah, there was one very cute woman who got pulled over drunk driving. She failed the sobriety test. They're about to arrest her, and she starts saying that if they go ahead and do that because she's here on a visa, she'll get kicked out, and she's here for school. And she literally says, "I'll do anything. I'll take everything off." And it's
You gotta full send it. Hail Mary.
I guess so. But you should know you're on camera.
Right. And it's, they can't really bend the rules for you when they're on camera, in theory.
Although
That's the idea, at least.
Although I did just watch a thing from John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, a little maybe 30-minute clip about body camera footage and how easy it is for cops to turn them off. Because obviously, well, the problem is they do need to stop and like use the bathroom. You know what I mean? So they do need to be able to turn them off. It can't be on like,
oh, I had never even thought about that.
Yeah, so like they can't just be on all the time. But
right.
So there's a degree of like, okay, is some privacy there, but at the same time, something has to be done about doing it during a stop.
Right. There's forever a dichotomy between privacy and freedom and privacy and safety, and it just always exists.
Right. And again, like I said, if they're going to stop and eat at McDonald's, do we really need to save the footage of them eating at McDonald's and then stopping to take a piss or a shit? You know what I mean?
Right. God forbid a shit.
Yeah, we don't need to see that or hear it or whatever, right?
Very true. Very true.
And actually, it said on this thing that so little of that footage is actually ever viewed before it's recorded over anyway, because there's so much of it out there.
Right. And it totally makes sense. Like, there's just not enough database room in the world for all of that. And most of it, they can't hire a full-time person to watch a person full-time.
Right. And most of it isn't necessary.
Right.
Right. So, all right, anyway, let's dive back into this.
Oh, right. The case.
Yeah, the case. Yeah. So when officers Cope and Finlayson arrived with their camera crew, the twins were standing on the shoulder of the motorway, speaking with the officers. Everyone appeared calm and everything seemed okay. Now the paramedics hadn't yet arrived, but by the look of things, the officers thought they wouldn't really be needed. Nobody appeared injured. The atmosphere was relaxed. So when officers Cope and Finlayson joined the others on the motorway, they began speaking with one of the highway agency officers to find out what was going on. The twins were a short distance away, standing next to one of the other highway agency officers. While the highway agency officer was still briefing police, suddenly, and for no apparent reason, Ursula lunged forward, stepping into the motorway.
Again?
Again. And this is caught on camera.
The death wish.
Seeing what she was about to do, the highway agency officer who was standing next to her tried to stop Ursula. He only managed to grab her jacket, which she slipped out of, and then she ran straight into the road, directly into the side of a 40-ton truck as it passed.
What the fuck?
The truck ran straight over her.
Oh.
Sabina then made her move, running out onto the motorway as well. She threw herself into the path of an oncoming car. She was hit and went straight over the front of the car, smashing the windshield, denting the hood and the roof, before being flung up into the air and slamming down hard on the road.
Oh.
This all happened in like seconds, and it was all caught on camera.
What the fuck?
So as you can see, when I first saw this footage, I thought I was watching a movie.
Right. It sounds like an exorcism or like a possession movie where it's like, wow, these people are doing weird shit because there's demons in them or something.
Yeah, it's fucked up. I watched it and be like, yeah, it's bullshit. And I moved on.
Right.
So both women laid motionless on the road, knocked unconscious by the impact, but still alive.
Oh, wow.
The motorway was immediately shut down and police went to work, trying to render aid and waiting for those paramedics to arrive.
Yeah, it's about time they got there.
Ursula then started screaming that she wanted the police, even though she was looking at a police officer who was kneeling over her.
Okay, are we week 2 brain injury vibes?
Oh, right. Like, it just kind of makes me think of the last case.
Exactly.
Yeah. She then became quite aggressive and started spitting at and clawing at Officer Finlayson. Now, paramedics arrived soon after, and they made their way to Ursula first and helped calm her down and bringing her under control.
Wow.
Meanwhile...
And so, just to clarify, Ursula is the one who got run over.
By the truck, yes.
By the truck, okay.
Meanwhile, Officer Tracy Cope is with Sabina, who was laying down calmly, until suddenly she began screaming out, quote, "They're going to steal your organs," unquote.
Huh. Yep. Okay. Huh.
I told you, this is a weird one.
This is really weird.
Sabina then stood...
It seems, I mean, by their behavior, it seems like they're trying to be organ donors, if you know what I mean.
You know, maybe they were really excited about donating organs. Although a rough way to donate them, there's a lot of potential damage that could be done this way.
Right. You can just, like, donate a kidney and you can, like, still live, right?
Maybe they wanted to give up more.
And you know what? So noble. So honorable.
So noble. So Sabina then stood up, and Officer Cope was trying to kind of... Stood up, and Officer Cope was trying to calm her down and get her to lay back down. But as she's doing this, Sabina starts pulling away from Officer Cope before turning around and punching the officer in the face, knocking her to the ground.
What the hell is going on?
Sabina then jumped over the central reservation and ran into oncoming traffic on the other side of the motorway.
You're joking. You're joking.
I am not.
Oh, what the fuck?
This time, she was lucky not to have been hit by a passing vehicle.
She might not have considered herself lucky.
I think I agree with you. An Officer Finlayson gave chase to her. As drivers saw...
Where's the bags right now? Just a question.
Honestly, there's no more information about these bags, so I don't really know what was in them.
Damn it.
I realized that because the bus driver made such a big deal out of them, it seemed like they were going to be important, but they're not.
Okay. All right. Well, that was a real red herring in this story.
Yeah, it's a very good red herring.
I've been thinking about, does she still have the bag? What's in the bag? Is she going to take it out?
Nope. The bags, I believe, are probably on the side of the road somewhere.
All right, well.
Maybe even still to this day.
They're still there. We can go to the UK.
That'd be so funny. Almost 20 years later. Oh, man. Well, as drivers saw what was going on, they slowed down to a stop. And Officer Finlayson tried to grab hold of Sabina, who removed her jacket and started jumping up and down like she was shaping up, like getting herself motivated to get into a fight.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Officer Cope, along with other police who had arrived on the scene and members of the public, had to assist in bringing Sabina under control.
Goodness. What is going on? These like 40-year-old women
literally
fighting cops, running into the street.
It took 6 people to get Sabina down and get her to stop putting up a fight. She was later
methamphetamine. I don't know, man. I got a lot of theories.
She was later described as having inhuman strength.
Huh.
Fucking crazy. I love it.
Who are these bitches?
Well, like her sister Ursula, Sabina started calling out for the police, despite the fact that they're surrounded by officers. She was eventually restrained, and she continued to aggressively lash out, making it impossible for paramedics to treat her.
Sedate her.
Yeah, that's my next line. They eventually had to sedate Sabina in order to give her medical care.
Yeah, that tracks.
None of the first responders or bystanders could understand what was going on. The twins' behavior was unlike anything the police had ever seen or encountered before.
Yeah, it's real fucking weird.
Now, they suspected that both sisters were likely under the influence of some kind of narcotic, which is what you've been saying for the whole time, pretty much.
Yep.
It was also speculated that maybe the girls, the women, their actions were because they had some sort of suicide pact that they had made.
Weird way to do it.
I just realized that, I have notes about the bags.
Fuck yes! Oh, I was so sad you didn't have notes about the bags, but now you do?
A search of their bags found multiple cell phones and one of their passports, but that was pretty much it.
I don't know why they were trying to hide that so bad. It's not that weird to have a couple cell phones.
Yeah, weird. So both twins were transported to the hospital. Ursula was in critical condition, but Sabina had only suffered minor injuries, amazingly.
Yeah, that's insane.
Getting thrown by a car, I'm completely blown away by that.
Yeah, the way you described it, yeah.
Yeah. So due to Ursula's severe condition, doctors took her blood for testing. It came back negative for drugs and alcohol.
The fuck?
Yeah. So, and there was also no drugs found on their persons, in their bags, or in any of Sabrina's belongings as well. Sabina's.
Fascinating.
Now, Sabina's blood wasn't tested, as she had only suffered minor injuries and she wasn't facing any serious criminal charges, which, I'm sorry, she punched a cop.
Right? What is this country?
Right? This is the UK. Here, she'd have been fucked. That's a felony.
Right.
So, yeah, no idea. So it is presumed, however, that if Ursula hadn't taken anything, then likely Sabina hadn't either.
Fair, if they had, like, equally bizarre behavior.
Again, it's all so strange. Like, none of it makes sense.
No.
Now, Sabina did not undergo any kind of psychiatric evaluation. She was only seen by a police doctor, a psych doctor, and a social worker.
Well, you said a psych doctor, so...
Yeah, but that's not like I should say it wasn't a full psychiatric evaluation.
Gotcha, they were just like checking in.
Correct. All 3 of them found that there was nothing wrong with Sabina.
Yeah, I feel like here, if you had run into traffic intentionally twice,
yeah, you'd be locked up.
You would be on an involuntary psych hold.
Yeah, for a little while.
Hours at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, once she was given a clean bill of health, Sabina was discharged from the hospital just 5 hours after everything went down.
Not taken to the station for, I don't know, like endangering everyone on the motorway?
Well, once she was released from the hospital, police took her into their custody.
Ah, okay. All right. I'm getting ahead of myself.
I did that to you on purpose.
Well, thanks for setting me up.
You're welcome. Oh, man. There was the last recording I did with Tori. At one point, she says to me, she goes, I can hear the fucking smile on your face right now.
Yep. And I can too.
It's so fun. So The screaming person who had thrown herself in front of traffic and fought officers was no longer there. Sabina was now completely relaxed. She was compliant, and police didn't even bother to handcuff her as they took her to the station.
After she punched a cop.
Yeah, here she would have been fucked. If she had survived that, like what the police would have done to her after getting punched.
Right. If you punch a cop, girl, you're getting shot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So Sabina...
What a country.
Right. No, I'm not going to comment on that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of insane that I'm like, I can't believe they didn't murder her for punching someone. Like, that's actually what's fucked up.
Yeah, that's true.
That I'm like, oh my God, you didn't get states like unsanctioned murdered on the streets.
Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, the propaganda. The propaganda, I say.
I'm telling you, it affects us more than we realize. You're right. Because they've normalized it here.
Right. Right. It's like almost like I'm like, what do you mean you were treated, with due process? What do you mean?
You mean you weren't called a terrorist? Yeah.
Right? I mean, I still think they maybe should have. I don't know. Well, let's see what they do. Let's see what they do.
So Sabina sat quietly in the backseat of the car, unrestrained, and at the police station, she even laughed and joked with the officers as they were processing her.
Okay.
They asked her a series of questions as to her, during part of her processing, including questions about her history and her health. When they asked if she had ever tried to harm herself before, she said she had not. Sabina had no previous criminal history, and at no point during her questioning did she ask how her sister Ursula was doing.
Oh, weird.
Now, police charged Sabina with trespassing on the motorway and assaulting a police officer. She was kept in custody and appeared at the Fenton Magistrates Court 2 days later on November 19th, 2008. She pled guilty to both charges. Knowing the U.S. and what those charges would have looked like, do you want to take a guess at what she was sentenced to?
Community service?
She was sentenced to 1 day in custody.
Also time served.
Yeah, exactly, which she'd already done. So she was released. 1 day.
Wild. I mean, it's wild that assaulting anyone has so few consequences, but
when you assault a police officer, yeah.
I just think, how much do I care that it's a police officer just assaulting anyone?
And you get a day in jail. Yeah.
You get a day in jail. Not that I think, I don't know. I think community service would have been honestly a more appropriate, because it's like you punch someone, you better go serve the world because you're not doing the right thing.
Make her clean a stretch of that highway.
Yes, exactly. Like you punched someone who was trying to help you.
And you damaged somebody's car.
Also that.
Yeah.
No fine. You don't know you have to fix their car?
Not according to the research.
Really
not according to the research I have.
Crazy.
So, during her time in custody, Sabina seemed very calm, and she was released and casual about the whole situation she now found herself in. To her, it was like nothing had happened. Now,
my sister's in critical condition, NBD.
Hashtag.
Hashtag vibing. Hashtag chilling. Hashtag UK vacation.
Hashtag M6 shenanigans.
Yes.
All right. So that same evening, 54-year-old Glenn Hollinshead was walking home with his friend Peter Malloy and Glenn's dog. Now, the two men had just been at their local pub for a few beers and were strolling along Christchurch Street in the town of Fenton, which is part of Stoke-on-Trent.
Typical British activities.
And this
place the pub.
And this place is just around the corner from the magistrate's court. As they walked, they noticed Sabina Eriksson standing on the other side of the road. This woman stuck out, massively. She obviously didn't belong there, and she appeared stressed and worried. And she was carrying all her possessions in a plastic bag, and she looked like she was lost. Sabina called out to the two men, saying that Glenn's dog looked nice. In response, Glenn and Peter crossed the road and struck up a conversation with Sabina. The trio chatted for a little while, and Sabina told the men that her sister was in the hospital and she was trying to find her way there. But she said she also needed to find a place to sleep, like a bed and breakfast, because she had nowhere to stay. Now, Glenn explained that there was really no hotels or B&Bs in that area, but he did offer to let her stay at his place.
What a nice person.
And it's funny because it's one of my next notes that this is in keeping with his character. Everyone who knew Glenn said that he was just this kind of guy. We are on a murder podcast, Joyous.
I was waiting for the shoe to drop. Oh, no.
Yep. He also offered to make her something to eat and help her try to locate her sister before helping her organize any other accommodations that she might need. Now, again, as I just said, friends and loved ones described him as a warm and friendly person who always helped out people in need. And Sabina accepted his offer, and her mood appeared to improve. So the three walked back to Glenn's house, where they sat down for a little while together and had a few drinks. And whenever Glenn and Peter asked about Sabina's sister, they watched as her demeanor changed. She would kind of try to change the subject, or everything would just be an awkward silence.
Weird.
Sabina also started to display some other strange behavior. In the middle of a conversation, she would suddenly stand up, walk over to the window, pull the shades up and stare up and down the street, before suddenly snapping the shades back in place and sitting down again.
That is deeply weird behavior.
She did this a few times, and it was as though she was paranoid that someone might be watching her. She even took out cigarettes and offered some to Glenn and Peter, and they both accepted, but as they were about to light the cigarettes, she quickly snatched them back, saying, "They might be poisoned, you can't have them."
Girl?
It's funny because she did that even though she herself had been smoking cigarettes from the same pack all night. So,
weird.
So Peter was starting to feel really uneasy, and he couldn't quite put his finger on what was wrong with Sabina. But Glenn, on the other hand, was super relaxed and comfortable and entirely unconcerned. He kept telling Peter not to worry, reassuring him that Sabina was just a bit quirky and that her behavior was nothing to be concerned about.
Right, I guess he could think, like, she's in shock.
Right, her sister is in the hospital. I can sort of see it, but to me, I've been
She's probably got at least a couple scrapes and bruises from being hit by a car.
One would assume, yeah. So Peter couldn't wait to leave. He wasn't so reassured. And as soon as he could, he left Glenn alone with Sabina.
Well, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. That's really an odd thing. I definitely would not have left him alone. But here we are. Now, one of the most intriguing things about this is that despite being run over by a car, flung into the air, and slamming on the road just 2 days before, Sabina did not make any complaints about being in pain.
Weird.
Yes. She seemed completely unaffected. At around lunchtime the next day, Glenn called his brother Paul, who worked at a local hospital, to see if he knew anything about Ursula. Glenn was his usual cheerful self throughout that call, according to his brother. Now, occasionally, his brother Paul could hear Sabina's voice in the background, and Glenn explained to him what had happened and said that if there was any information at all about Ursula's status, to let him know. At about 7:40 p.m. that evening, Glenn walked outside and asked a neighbor if he had any spare tea bags. Obviously, he's thinking of making tea for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Completely British thing to do.
Very British.
Now, Frank was washing his car and told Glenn that when he finished his car up, he would go inside and get him some tea bags. Glenn thanked him and went back into his house. Roughly 1 minute later, Glenn came staggering back outside. He was bleeding and had 4 separate stab wounds.
Oh my God.
One of those stab wounds hit him in the heart.
No.
Glenn called out, "I've been stabbed. She stabbed me," and then he collapsed to the ground.
Oh.
Frank immediately dialed the emergency services, and Glenn asked Frank to look after his dog before he passed away.
Oh, that's so sad.
Meanwhile, Sabina left Glenn's house and began running up the street carrying a hammer.
What the fuck?
She repeatedly hit herself over the head with the hammer as she ran.
What is going on?
This caught the attention of a passing motorist named Joshua, who saw what she was doing as he noticed that her hair was completely matted with blood. There was also blood all over the front of Sabina's jacket. Now, Joshua got out of his car and tried to wrestle the hammer from Sabina, and she struggled with him and appeared to be
That's a good Samaritan.
That's great. I'm sorry. You want to hit yourself running down the street? That's all you. Fuck that. I'm not getting involved.
Right. I mean, I'm scared I'm going to get hurt, but good on this guy.
She struggled with him and appeared to be in an outright rage. And she eventually got the better of Josh because she was hitting him in the back of the head with a piece of roof tile that she took out of her pocket.
What the fuck?
I have no idea.
These girls and their bags in their pockets. What is going on?
She then continued to take off running. So Joshua saw 2 paramedic vehicles driving by, and he flagged them down. Now, Sabina kept running. She kept trying to get away from the paramedics. And she ran to a bridge at Heron Crossing above the A50 roadway.
She's going to jump off the bridge.
Sabina climbed the railing and jumped straight off to the road below. This is roughly 10 meters or 30 feet.
Oh.
She hit the ground, breaking both of her ankles and fracturing her skull, but she survived.
This woman is indestructible.
Fucking nuts. Like, not human.
No. And amazing she didn't get hit by a car in the process.
Right? You'd think you'd have timed it better, just saying.
Right? Well, you would think you would think.
Yeah,
but this is not a person who's thinking.
She was just hitting herself with a hammer.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say she's necessarily in her right mind, but I guess that's up to debate.
Right. So she was transported to the hospital for treatment while police examined the crime scene at Glenn's house.
Ugh.
It looked as though Glenn had been in the process of preparing a meal when he was stabbed. Sabina's DNA was found on one of the kitchen knives, and her blood-stained jacket that she was wearing at the time that she jumped off the bridge tested positive for Glenn Hollenhead's DNA.
Mm.
Sabina remained in the hospital for almost 4 months and was discharged in a wheelchair on Thursday, September 11th, 2008. Upon her release...
4 months. Okay, so she got real fucked up.
Yeah, breaking both ankles? Fuck.
Yeah, that's rough.
No, thank you. Upon her release from the hospital, she was charged with the murder of Glenn Hollinshead and taken into police custody. Now, Ursula was also discharged from the hospital in September, but she wasn't charged with any offenses and returned to Sweden.
What? I mean, I guess all she did was run into traffic. She didn't even assault a cop, so...
No, she was hit by a pretty big truck, so she probably didn't even cause damage to the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Sabina refused to answer any questions at all. Her reply to anything that was asked of her was simply no comment.
Wow.
So we have no idea exactly what happened in Glenn's house that day, or even the night before, after his friend Peter had left, that is. Sabina initially pled not guilty to murder, and a trial date was set for February of 2009. Now, it was postponed due to issues obtaining her medical records. So her trial had to be rescheduled, and she went on trial that following September. So now she's been in prison for a year. Prior to her trial, Sabina was assessed by 2 forensic psychiatrists, one acting for the defense and the other for the prosecution, and both reached the same conclusion, that at the time...
What, she had a psychotic break?
That at the time that she killed Glenn, she was mentally ill. Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course she was fucking mentally ill. She killed someone.
Right. However, the psychiatrist had different opinions as to what this mental illness was. Now, the defense, they argued that it was induced delusional disorder, a rare condition where similar delusional beliefs are shared by 2 or more people that share a close relationship.
I've never heard of that one.
And that's generally where the term folie comes from. So.
Gotcha.
Now, in Sabina's case, the condition would relate to her relationship with her sister, obviously. But after her sister ran out into the motorway, into the path of the truck, Sabina did follow her. So this is their argument here. Now, the prosecution diagnosed Sabina with acute polymorphic psychotic disorder.
Also haven't heard of that one. They got the spicy diagnoses today.
A type of acute transient psychosis characterized by rapidly shifting psychotic symptoms such as hallucinations and paranoia. Now, the prosecution's hypothesis was that Sabina had abruptly become psychotic for a short period of time before the symptoms disappeared. To me, that sounds like bullshit, because that's everyone who's ever lost their shit for a little bit.
Right, that is what a psychotic break is.
Right, so why all the flowery words? Doesn't make sense.
Right, and it's like, why does it matter if it then went away? You're clearly a dangerous person.
Exactly, because we don't know when you're going to do it again, clearly.
Yep.
And they called both of these diagnoses rare conditions. Okay, whatever.
I mean, yeah, I've never heard of them, so they got to be rare.
Well, video of the incident on the motorway was used in making each of these diagnoses, and the footage was later played in court. Now, Glenn's family wanted to know why Sabina was released from the hospital so quickly and allowed to go free after the motorway incident, especially if she was determined now to be suffering from a psychotic episode.
Right.
Prior to Sabina's release from the hospital after that incident, she had been seen by a police surgeon, a consultant psychiatrist, and a social worker, and all 3 said that she didn't display any obvious signs of mental or psychological illness. But the footage...
I think running into traffic is an obvious symptom, but
right.
But that's just me.
Well, and that's what their argument is. Like, why didn't anyone pick up on this shit? Why, like you said, a 72-hour hold at a minimum?
Yes.
A couple of explanations that people put forward have been kind of thrown out there for people to listen, or whatever, theories. If Sabina was in fact suffering from acute polymorphic psychotic disorder, then her symptoms could come and go quickly and may have been momentarily absent when she was being reviewed by those 3 individuals. Which, again, all of that sounds awfully convenient to me, regardless.
Yeah, and also, like, it's one of those things where I'm like, yes, and?
Exactly. So
she's fucked up and she's good at concealing it?
Right. And another theory that someone put out there was that the sedation, the sedative she was given on the motorway to calm her down may have allowed her to calm down enough that by the time she was assessed by these doctors, they thought she was okay.
Right.
Which is probably more likely the case.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but it's also still, that's like, that was a suicide attempt.
Agreed.
You usually get mandatory hold for that.
Exactly.
You don't get to just say, you seem fine, chap. Move along.
Right. Either way, although the psychiatrist hired by both the prosecution and the defense found that Sabina had been experiencing mental illness at the time that she stabbed Glenn Hollinshead, neither of them had assessed her twin sister Ursula. So no one
that
has...
seems important to the diagnosis, especially the first one.
Right.
that the defense is talking about with the induced delusional disorder.
Right. And if maybe she had been assessed, they would have been able to learn more about what was going on. Like, we have no idea. They let her return to Sweden.
Crazy.
So the findings of these two psychiatrists led Sabina into pleading guilty to a lesser charge of manslaughter with diminished...
Are you fucking joking?
With diminished responsibility. I am not kidding.
Fuck her.
Yes, agreed. She killed a guy who was just trying to help her.
Literally being so nice.
It's crazy. He was literally making her fucking dinner a day later.
Yeah.
Although a judge had difficulty determining which diagnosis was the correct one, he accepted that Sabina had suffered from some sort of rare and temporary form of insanity, and he allowed her plea to be accepted.
I fucking hate that.
As Sabina has since made a full recovery from her mental illness, she couldn't be detained at a secure mental health hospital.
What?
Neither the prosecution nor defense believed she posed any further danger to the public.
That's crazy.
And that's
actually insane. How do you know that something that happens randomly is gone?
Exactly. She should never be let out.
Yeah.
So the judge was prompted to give her 5 years in prison.
Are you joking?
No, I wish I was. Because she had already spent 439 days in custody prior to this sentencing, she became eligible for parole in 2011.
I can only imagine how awful that is for this guy's family.
I would be fucking furious. I'm not gonna lie.
I would also be furious if this is a person who was released and then lived in my neighborhood.
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna say that if someone like this was released in my neighborhood, I'd make sure they disappeared, but they might. Just saying.
It's just like, it's insane, like from a public safety standpoint. This is exactly the kind of shit we talk about when we talk about reoffenders.
Yep.
It's just nuts.
Yep.
Like,
there's no...
I don't get mental illness is an explanation. It's not an excuse.
Yeah, you still have to pay the price. And even if you don't pay the price, you still have to be... The public has to be protected from you.
Right. I feel like those are the two prongs on like crime and punishment here are you have to pay the dues for what you've done, and also like you're a public safety risk. The public deserves to be protected from you.
Agreed.
And even if it's found that, oh, you were insane, you shouldn't be punished for being insane, sure, whatever, but the public is still in danger.
Agreed. And yet...
You're still capable of doing these things.
And yet they're saying she's no longer a danger, despite their own diagnosis that this could happen at any time. Especially because they don't even know what triggered it.
Right.
You know, did it happen because she was with her sister? Then why?
Right, and is she being kept from her sister?
This is crazy, yeah. But hold on, we'll get into that in a little bit. In delivering this sentence, the judge stated, quote, "I understand this sentence will seem entirely inadequate to the relatives of the deceased. However, I have sentenced on the basis that the reason for the killing was the mental illness, and therefore the culpability of the defendant was low, and therefore the sentence I have passed is designed to protect the public. It is not designed to reflect the grief of the relatives and what they've suffered, or to measure the value of Glenn Hollenhead's life. No sentence I could pass could do that." Unquote.
There's certainly a lot of sentences he could pass that would get closer.
Agreed. It's bullshit. 100%.
That's such a load of shit.
Yep. Well, Glenn's family considered Sabina's diagnosis to be a convenient explanation, which is what I've been saying the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
They felt it was a quick and easy way to deal with an event that was so bizarre that no one had any idea what was really going on.
Right. It feels under-investigated as well.
Yeah. Now, Glenn's brother Gary had spoken out against the way the case was handled, stating that he doesn't blame Sabina for her actions, but he does hold the justice system responsible for their part. He has also paid tribute to his brother's kind and generous nature. Quote, her mental condition should have been properly assessed after what she did on the motorway and the experiences the police had. Her mental disorder should have been picked up prior to her being let out into the community. Glenn saw her in distress and was just trying to help. He wasn't slow in coming forward to help somebody in distress. It was in his nature. He was trying to help. He would help anybody. If he saw a fight in the street and a guy was losing, he would help. Unquote. It's always the good ones. He was a real
good guy.
I was going to say it's always the good ones. Yep.
Always is. This one particularly, he was literally going out of his way for the person who killed him.
Yep. Now, during the court process, Sabina maintained her silence. She didn't utter a single word about the murder or the M6 incident. No one, to this day, no one knows what the twins were doing in England in the first place.
That's crazy.
They never gave anyone any reasons. And like her sister Ursula, Sabina returned to Sweden after completing her sentence.
Insane.
And literally, just as there isn't anything known about their history prior to these events, we know nothing about them after their departure.
You know what? At least that means that hopefully they haven't killed anyone else.
Hopefully. Or maybe they finally completed their suicide pact or whatever the fuck was going on. But either way...
Right, whatever the fuck that was.
These women could still be out there. They probably are still out there.
Yeah.
They'd only be 60 now. And that is the case of the Eriksson twins.
Man, that was such a fun case until it became really awful.
Your moment of realization was so crazy. Because you suddenly realized this wasn't just about weird behavior.
I know. I was like, I genuinely thought it would end in like one sister killing the other sister, or like this was like a weird case where you're messing with me and no one actually died. It was just a fun story.
Nope. I had to remind
Or it was a fumble. Or it was a fumble where they like tried to kill someone, where they were trying to kill people by like trying to mess up their cars. I don't know.
No, I hear you, but unfortunately there is an actual victim in this case. So
may he rest in peace. What a sweet guy. What a representation of the goodness of people and the goodness of strangers sometimes. I think that's a beautiful thing to still believe in.
In a weird way, though, for him, that was a good way to go. He went because he was helping somebody. And she was in need. Her needs were just beyond him. He was still doing
something wonderful.
Yeah. So.
If there's an afterlife, I'm sure he'll be rewarded for that.
Agreed. He certainly would be. So yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us. Once again, I'm Janus Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye!